Let's talk a little about pagination. Pagination is a very good idea, especially when we have a RESTful API that handle a very big quantity of elements inside the database. Let's imagine that, for example, we have 1 million of users or something like that. So when we have a lot of data to return, it is going to be difficult for several reasons. The first is that, well, for the database it's going to be very complicated to return immediately 1 million of records. Then, because we have a lot of records, the size of the response is going to be bigger. So it means that the response is going to take some additional time to be returned from our server and arrives to the client side. And finally, it means that we are returning the false stuff related for the users, in this case, for example, to the client. And probably the client do not want to use all the data, only needs a little piece of that quantity of users. So for that is a very good idea to use pagination. With pagination, we are going to divide all the data that we have in different subsets of data. For example, 15 users or 30 users or 20 or whatever value that we prefer. In fact, as we are going to see in a future class, we can allow to the client to customize that value from a URL parameter. Of course, being that value between our acceptable parameters. So let's just see a little about some difficulties that we are going to have with the pagination for our project. Normally, when we are going to paginate in Laravel, we can use, for example, to return the full list of categories paginated, we can use the paginate method. But this method acts directly over a specific model, in this case category, and that is very good. In this case, we are basically obtaining subsets of 15 categories per page. That is very good. But what happened with category buyer controller? In this case, we are not obtaining or dealing directly with the model. As you can see here, after we use the get method, we are using methods related with a collection and not directly with the eloquent models. So, unfortunately, the paginate method is only for eloquent collections. And we are not always returning eloquent collections because, well, there are some advanced or complex relationships between our models that we need to resolve using directly methods from the collections, and the eloquent collections are not enough here. So it means that we are going to paginate directly simple collections and not eloquent collections. The good news here is that at the end we are additionally, through the all method, obtaining a traditional collection. So that means that we need to act directly every time in every request that needs to return the show all method using and paginating traditional collection. So as we are going to see this, it is not directly possible in Laravel, but we are going to see how using the traditional pagination of Laravel we can create our own pagination using directly collections and not the facilities of the eloquent model. So see you in the next class to do this in a very easy way.